So now I am quite delighted to introduce a man who I've known for many years. Working side by side with him, I've admired him as a great leader with impeccable integrity, a passion for the YMCA mission, and a visionary who leads by example. And he doesn't give up anything that he really believes in. And let me give you an example. Just yesterday, after an enormous amount of effort led by Kevin and his team, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services announced that the CDC-approved diabetes prevention programs will soon be covered by Medicare. Let me assure you that this is a game changer for our country. Kevin grew up as a kid in Philadelphia. He played basketball at the YMCA and got his start in his YMCA career there as a young program director. He has committed himself to the impactful work of the YMCA because he believes in nurturing all children, just like Zoe, to realize their tremendous potential and to every person living a healthier lifestyle. Kevin is a servant leader. In various roles, he has been the COO of the YMCA in Chicago. He has also been the CEO of 2 YMCAs, one in Hartford, Connecticut, and also in Boston, Massachusetts. But just a year ago, Kevin became, and it was a unanimous selection of Kevin, to become the National YMCA CEO. So please welcome Kevin Washington.
It's fun to stay at the YMCA. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. Good morning, good morning, good morning, great people. Wow, what a great audience and a great day. And it's fun to be in California today. Always a pleasure to be in Silicon Valley. Thank you, Kathy Riggins, for those kind words, just the way I wrote them. Appreciate that. You know, Kathy was on the CEO search process, and she said it was unanimous, but when she asked me to come out here, she said, you know, Kevin, I cast the winning vote for you. So I don't know, that story changes. The Project Cornerstone, which is a shining light of WISE youth development work nationwide, and to celebrate some wonderful kids and the adults who support them on a daily basis, and all the community partners and policymakers who make this initiative possible and have for the past 17 years. I would be remiss, having been in this organization 38 years as a YMCA professional, you get the opportunity to meet some great people and you meet them along the way. But as I came here today, I knew I'd see a couple of folks who have been true heroes in this work. 2 of them are board members. They're Irvie Smith, who served on the National Board, and John Beard, who currently serves on the National Board. So thank you for being here. And one of them is an individual who probably doesn't need any introduction, but I've worked with him for at least 20 years in some projects and things that we've been doing. The numbers of folks here today really exemplify the work that he has been engaged in this journey. Long-time YMCA CEO, long-time great leader in this movement, and a good friend, and he looks much, much better in retirement than he did when he was working here. Dave Thornton, former CEO. Dave! As Kathy said, I grew up in the YMCA. I like to say the YMCA met Kevin Washington at the age of 10 in a program at the William S. Pierce Elementary School, not unsimilar to some of the things that you're doing here in Cornerstone, in a program called the Gray Y. Now, if many of you know what Gray Y stands for, wow, you're just as old as I am. But it stood for Grade School at the Y. And what we did at the YMCA probably was the beginning of our after-school activity programs. And that is where I met my mentor, my lifelong friend, and the individual who had probably the greatest impact on me, other than my mother and father, was Bill Morton. Bill Morton was a YMCA youth director who organized grade-wide programs across the elementary schools. And I'm sorry, ladies, at that point in time, it was only boys. And I was 10 at the time. We would go to the YMCA on those days, learn basketball, football, flag football. We didn't have those concussion issues at the time. We were playing flag football, soccer, and softball. And I learned to swim. But what was important, it wasn't the sports. And I didn't know that until I was a little older, of course. But it was the environment in that YMCA, which was the Christian Street YMCA, which served predominantly African-American folks in South Philadelphia. It was that safe zone. But it was those individuals in there, and I can remember all of their names. Mr. Harris, who always wore a crisp, clean shirt, worked at the front desk. When I walked in there, you knew that you had to stand up straight and walk right, or he's going to send you out the door. Ivan Wallace, who was our aquatic director, who had Kevin Washington step on the edge of the pool and jump in, Kevin said, am I going to come back? Am I going to come back up? Please, Ivan, please. Jumped in, came up. Ivan Wallace, aquatic director. Toad, we call him Toad. He was a locker room guy. And he knew if you didn't act right in that locker room, he'd open the lockers for you, make sure you cleaned them out and those kinds of things, but always watching us as we walked through that facility. And then was finally Peanut. See, we had these names, right? And he was a volunteer at the Y. I thought he worked there because he was always there, always there. I found out later in life that he was a fireman. And the 4 days that he was on duty for the firemen, the other time, he was at the YMCA. So he worked at nights as a fireman, but other days he was at the YMCA. He took us all over the place. He drove us around in his car. He made sure that we got the things that we needed. I mean, even to some extent, he would bring clothes for some of the kids. This was the environment that nurtured Kevin Washington. Not unsimilar to the kind of work that's going on in the Cornerstone Project, to ensure that young kids have adults in their life who are nurturing, who are concerned, who are sharing their expertise to ensure that kids develop to their fullest potential. That's the YMCA story. I never thought I'd be standing here today as the CEO of the YMCA of the USA. But those individuals at that Christian Street YMCA saw something in me that I did not see in myself. And they helped nurture that. They made me believe in what I could deliver as an individual. It was their adult practice, and how they lived that out that made the difference in so many kids' lives. And I happened to be the one that benefited from that. It also taught me about volunteer service. And I was a young guy. We had a basketball program, a church league on Friday nights. I wasn't good enough to play. My brother was, but he got blown. So a guy scored 48 points on him one night, so I let him know about that all the time. But I'm keeping score, and at the end of the day, at the end of the games, clean the gym up, get the tables, clean it up. That was my volunteer service that I learned at the YMCA about giving back to the community in a way that benefited not only me, but others in that community. Fast forward 10 years later, I got a scholarship at Temple University because of my work at the YMCA, because of my involvement, because of Bill Morton. I'm coming home one day and I see his blue YMCA truck shooting down the street. He says, Kevin. I said, yes, sir, Mr. Morton. I always called him Mr. Morton. He said, you can call me Bill. No, you're always Mr. Morton to me. Come see me on Monday. Yes, sir. What time you want me to be there? About 3 o'clock. So I go there. Kevin, I got a job for you. I'd love you to be the youth director of the Christian Street YMCA. I was very happy to do that. But he said, and I'm going to pay you $10,000. Wow. The other part of that was he said, and I'm also going to pay you $10,000, and we have a retirement fund, and 5% of that $10,000 is going in our retirement fund. And I said, Mr. Morton, you're going to take 5%? I mean, I was pretty good at math. I said, that's $500. That's party money, Mr. Morton. That's party money. But I will tell you, little did I know, he was setting me up for life. And today, when I look at the retirement statement that we get every so often, I look at the Mr. Morton, he passed about 10 years ago, and I say, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. You knew what you were doing. I didn't know, but you knew. So all of those stories is to say that as you look at the individuals that are working with you, particularly some of the younger folks who don't understand, we will later on. You will get your rewards from us later on as we go down this path. And that's the story I wanted to make sure you understand, because I benefited from it. Didn't understand it at first, rejected in some instances, but now as I think about the work that Bill Morton and the team at the Christian Street YMCA did for me, and so many other kids in that community, it's like, okay, I get it. So as I stand here today and look at this huge audience, I know that those kids that you read to, those kids that you tell stories with and talk to them about bullying, they'll get it. They'll get it. And the other thing about it, they'll pass it on. They'll pass it on. One of the other points I wanted to mention is part of my youth development work. I used to do a couple of things, particularly with teens. Now, when I'm in an audience like this, I say, how many of you want to be teenagers again? Raise your hand. You know, that's a remarkable kind of thing that I get everywhere I go. That it's a sort of laugh. It's because we know that time in our lives, there's so many things going on. We're growing gangly. I had long arms and I was skinny. I had a little acne. I liked girls, didn't know how to approach them at that point in time. All of those things are going through our lives. But what we know is that the work that you're doing, and what I say the work through the YMCA, is that bridge that allows those adolescents to cross to adulthood. It's that bridge. That's the support that the Cornerstone Project provides to cross over to adulthood. One of the things I do know about being a youth director, that those teenagers, if they have a positive adult role model in their life, they will tell that person things they may not tell their parents because of that relationship. I can think of a couple of young folks that I worked with who would tell me things, and my response to them was always, this is real important. It's too important for me to keep. But here's the deal I'll make with you, because, young folks like to make deals. I said, you got 24 hours. If you don't tell your parents within 24 hours, I'm going to tell them, because it's too important for them not to know, because they love you, and you cannot not tell them this information. So that's one of the things that I've always done with young people. And finally, the other thing I would say is that rules are rules. And I used to run a youth and government program and take kids all over the place. I know California has a huge youth and government program. And my boss, this kid, broke a rule. And we said, whatever time of day it was, if you break a rule, you're going home. And home was about an hour and a half bus ride from Philadelphia to Philadelphia. He broke the rule. My boss, son, got on the phone at 1:30 a.m., said, Mr. So-and-so, Bradley's coming home. What did he do? Blah, blah, I told him. And he was not happy. But Bradley was on the phone, on that bus going home, because there is rules that we set forth, and there are consequences associated with them, and we have to be fair about how we deliver that. And that was part of my story as I worked with young folks. Rules, I'm going to give you tough love, but I'm also going to be open to the opportunity to work with you to help you see and how you can advance as a young person. That's what I call caring adults in people's lives. My story is emblematic of what the Y can do for a child. Every child, I truly believe, with the support and collaboration of caring adults and like-minded donors and community partners, the Y can help every child engage, fulfill their potential, reach their goals, and live their dreams. More than that, I believe this is our responsibility, because we must, and I'm not speaking only about the 9 million kids the YMCA of the USA serves. That number needs to grow. We have to reach more kids. We have to put more caring adults in their lives, because what you're doing here shows that it works. The first is awareness and building and fundraising. A few months ago, the Y launched our first ever national campaign. You saw Zoe. She's been a hit. It's really designed to change perception about who we are as just a place to work out and swim, but you already know that. There's so many others who don't. And to position our organization as a charity worth of philanthropic support. Kids have so much to deal with today, so many potential roadblocks to success. It's harder than ever before for our kids to maintain a healthy weight and to stay in school, succeed academically, and to avoid bullying, and to grow into a productive adults. That list goes on. Our hope is that our nationwide advertising campaign will prompt more people to consider and make a donation to the Y. If we're successful, we'll be able to use the additional resources to expand the pool of financial assistance for kids who might not otherwise become part of the Y. We'll be able to hire more people, more caring adults, and more mentors, and we'll be able to offer more youth development programs. The Y is known for and proud of programs like camping, youth sports, childcare, and after-school programs. But we do so much more for so many kids, and they will always be an important aspect of youth development work. Our 3 pillars: youth development, healthy living, and social responsibility. That is the 3 pillars from which we do our work on a national basis. So over the past 5 years or so, we've worked together as a movement with partners to research, launch, and scale proven programs that address specific challenges facing kids today. Our achievement gap work, 260 Y sites, over 10,000 kids that we're making sure that they achieve over the summer in areas of math and science where they've lost during the previous years. This program has shown gaining 3 months in math and 2 to 3 months in reading, which is significant when you think about the achievement gap. STEM program we are engaged in, 1,300 sites, 6,000 kids, and we're also in a collaboration with 4-H, Boys and Girls Club, and Girls Inc. to ensure that kids who have not necessarily had the opportunity to engage in STEM, we're working with communities to ensure that that happens. We do year-round food programs. 42 million meals were served to kids in 2011. Specifically, one of our big fundraisers, founders for that and supporters is the Walmart Foundation, with over $5.5 million. All these programs have one thing in common. They address the specific need kids are facing today. They open the Y's doors wider, broadening the number of opportunities we have to engage a child. And they are fun, run by caring adults who want to help kids reach their full potential and become healthy, responsible, and productive adults. That's the Y in a nutshell. That's why we're in the youth development business. This is a great time to be a kid. Kids can pursue ideas and dreams that most of us could not have imagined at their age. But it's also a challenging time. And whether it's the most of opportunities or avoiding negative behaviors or overcoming obstacles, kids need all the help they can get. I believe that no other organization can be of greater help to kids from cradle to career than the Y. That's because no other organization has the capacity to put more caring adults in more kids' lives. So it's incumbent upon us to keep reaching, to keep innovating, and to keep telling our story. Because when the Y and kids get together, great things happen. Now I'm in Silicon Valley, and the air is different here coming from the East Coast. Innovation is in the air. So does everybody have, I shouldn't say iPhone, we should say everybody have a phone. I want this to be trending on Twitter. We're going to trend this on Twitter because people all over the country should know what's going on in Silicon Valley. So take out your phone, go to Twitter or Snapchat or Periscope. Am I missing one? Instagram. My handle is @KevinWash YMCA. let's trend right now so everybody across the country, because we're in Silicon Valley and we got to be innovative, will know what's going on at this Cornerstone project. So, and I'm going to retweet as many as I can. So you're on. This morning gathering is evidence of what the Y is about. Your entire community is coming together to help children feel valued, respected, and known through Project Cornerstone. And thanks to you, more than 400 community partners, 4,000 volunteers, and 60,000 kids each month have access to the fundamental building blocks for healthy and happy futures. You are changing the trajectory of their lives. I know what that feels like. And so this former Y kid is here to say thank you and ask you to keep going and growing. Access to the developmental assets can be life-changing for kids, and the more young lives we change for the better, the stronger our communities and the more promising our futures. This is our community. This is our responsibility. Thank you.